really enjoying this slow fire chef on the move. I mean, Dehradun was awesome, and of course now we're in my sister's home in Delhi, Gurugram, and it's been a food riot from the moment we arrived, and you're going to see for yourself the kind of amazing stuff that she's cooked up. So come on, let's go into her kitchen and see what's happening. So are you cooking ghas patta for us?
Amit Mehra and ghas patta? And he's coming to see me after 2 years. After this he won't see me ever in his life. So no. We are having very heavy non-veg lunch. I'm sort of trying to cook everything that I couldn't cook in 2 years for you guys because haven't seen you all for 2 years. So we are having Memma's mutton curry.
Oh wow.
Okay.
Mimma's Mangsho Jhol, remember during the holidays we would be sitting and playing rummy while that meat just cooked and oh my god, we had to take it in turns to go and stir it. So every time we packed a hand, it was our turn to go and stir the meat.
Yeah.
Remember?
And she was the ultimate slow fire chef actually.
Yeah.
She was a slow chef, you could say. I mean, she only got her act together to decide what she was going to give us for lunch.
By 1:30 I think.
12:30.
No,
then
1:30.
she's got the miso going. So we were lucky if we'd get lunch by 4 o'clock in the evening.
Yeah,
But she was so good. We're going to make Memma's Mangsho Jhol. Memma is my aunt, my mother's middle sister, and she and I got on much better than Ma and I did. So I think we had the same mindset. We were very laid back, lazy, and never start our cooking. I mean, today is Sunday morning and we are starting at 12 o'clock to cook lunch. And that was Memma. Alright, so she had various shortcut methods of making the yummiest mutton curry, and we always called it Memma Mangsho Jhol, which actually sounds very morbid because when you translate it, it's literally like eating Memma's meat. But I think the whole family knew that it was basically Memma's mutton curry or the mutton curry that she made. And weekends were very special when we lived in Delhi as young children, because every weekend outing used to be to Green Park to visit Memma. And by the time Memma would get her act together, it would be midday, and she would cook this huge big mutton curry and served with steamed rice. It was hot, it would make your eyes water, your tongue burn, but it was the yummiest jhatka mutton curry I have ever eaten in my life. And I really miss Mima. She passed on quite a few years ago. We were soul sisters, which I can't say about my mother and me. So here's to Memma. This episode I'm telling Toto to dedicate to Memma, whose actual name is Maya Gupta. So I'm going to talk you through the ingredients. 1 kilo of mutton, single washed. Okay, Memma always believed that you shouldn't wash mutton over and over again. So we're using shoulder because that's the best part of mutton for curries, and a bit of the gardan. What we are going to do now is we're going to first marinate the mutton and put it on a side. Ideally, this should be marinated for a couple of hours, I think. But knowing Memma, it never got marinated for a couple of hours. It barely got marinated for the time it took for her to put the miso flour together and create the fried masala base. So I'll also follow the same routine. So the entire dish is actually cooked in mustard oil, in which the meat will also get marinated, and then the ghee is put from the top as the ultimate flavor or the umami of this whole meat. The mutton curry would of course be hot, which I don't cook it that way for the family because we have children eating. So it's got haldi in it. I do use the hot chili, but little bit of it, and then I use Kashmiri mirch for the color because it has to be a rich, angry looking red, this meat curry. Touch of jeera powder, Just a touch of it. Again, this is fresh ground. The jeera actually gives it a beautiful earthy flavor. Fresh ground dhania powder. We used to always fresh grind all our masalas. I'm going to sort of freehand the oil. Our traditional home cooking has always been a very touchy-feely type of cooking. So unless we do lots of touchy-feely, somehow the flavor doesn't come. So I guess that would be about a tablespoon of mustard oil. And now the salt. I'm adding 2 masalchi spoonful of salt. Later on we shall taste as we go along. Now the meat needs to be really well massaged with all the masalas. Whatever little watery bits of the meat is left there, let it be, don't chuck it off. Alright. I still haven't added the Kashmiri mirch powder, so it still hasn't got the angry red color, but that shall happen shortly. Some of it will be added to the meat and some of it will be added when we are frying the onions. We are being quite generous. The essence of this is to get the color. Mima would probably do it in the reverse. She would put the really hot red chili powder. And well, I guess that was the fun of eating it. Your eyes, tears ran, your nose ran, but you just kept on eating, plowing through the rice and meat curry. Now we are getting to the angry red color. So technically it's not very heavily spiced like Punjabi meat curry or North Indian or even South Indian curries, but the essence of, I think, Bengali food is a gentle use of spices to just bring out or to just sort of showcase the flavor of the actual food. Then of course there's lots of pyaz. So for about 1 kilo of meat I'm using 3 medium-sized pyaz. Lasan, which is not pisoed, grated, must be about 12 fat cloves of lasan. Adrak, about 1.5 inch piece. Khada garam masala, which we are going to actually grind in the hamam dista, and tezpatta, which will be used for tempering. Hari mirch, Memma would put about 7, 8, 10 of them. I'm only putting 2 because I've got my little Neil who's going to eat this. No Bengali meat curry is complete without potatoes, so we will add potatoes. Memma never used to put tomatoes, but my husband Vijay used to love tomatoes, and since he used to only eat the gravy, technically he was a vegetarian, so he wouldn't eat the meat pieces, but he would have the gravy and the potatoes. So the tomato is something that I have added, but in the original Memma's meat curry there were no tomatoes. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to put this aside and I'm going to wash my hands, and we are going to get on with the cooking. I'm also going to have to kill these with the mortar and pestle. So if you ever chat with my sister and brother-in-law, they'll tell you I keep going through these health kick phases kind of thing. So these days I'm totally getting rid of all aluminium cookware at home, and which is one of the reasons why much of this cookware is new, though I don't know why today Sushil is using aluminium to cook the fish, but never mind, to each his own. I'm cooking in a stainless steel pressure cooker, so there might be a little accident along the way because I really don't know at what temperature to handle the frying of the onions. Alright, again Semanti will put the measures of how much oil, but it's Memma's mutton curry and she was a very generous person, so generous amount of mustard oil. I think it's about 3 tablespoons, but then we are frying 3 onions. You have to really wait for the oil to smoke, otherwise and sort of roll the oil around the cooker so that none of it sort of creates a non-stick cooking base. Today is going to be like a really decadent Bengali eat till you drop kind of lunch, I think. But then when people come to visit you after 2 years or just 2 days, you have to sort of cook up a storm and give them everything that you were dreaming of feeding them. What to do? C'est la vie. The oil is smoking, right? But we don't want to burn the bay leaf, so I take the oil off the heat. I'm cooking on stainless steel, and while the oil is off the heat, I add the tezpata. Alright, so the flame is low and we start chopping up the onions. Bit fluttery, but then we are cooking with mustard oil. I'm like a super chef, and I have my sous chef. I have gotten out of the habit of actually preparing things myself. I mean, putting all the uninteresting part of cookery bits together. However, back to the onions.
You're gonna brown them?
Yeah, I'm going to brown them, but I'm also going to give you one of Mimma's tricks of how to, as I said, she knew all the shortcuts. So how to get onions to brown super fast. And we use something that's called sugar. So the sugar actually helps the onions caramelize. From food, we need to be a little generous with the sugar, so I guess that's about a teaspoon and a half of sugar. And to that we will also add a little bit. As I said, it's already 12:30. I have to get lunch on the table by 1:30, otherwise Amit will die of hunger. Even though he ate breakfast at 10 o'clock, right? I need to add the pinch of salt to get the onions to sweat and brown. 2 in 1 job. The onions have reached their point of fryness. Don't want to make it any redder because it's going to fry with the garlic and the ginger also. And essentially add the garlic. Give it a stir because garlic has a stronger fragrance, so I never add ginger and garlic together. I always add the garlic, give it a bit of a fry till the fragrance sort of starts coming out of fried garlic. Again, this is a trick I learned from Mima. Normally, everywhere people put ginger garlic together, but always fry your ginger a bit first. I mean garlic a bit first, and then add the ginger. That's why Italian food is so fragrant, because they fry their garlic. Now that the garlic, I can smell it, even though it's not turned brown, I can smell the fried garlic. I'm now going to add the ginger. So you can see that when you do this separately, the ginger doesn't actually catch the bottom of the cookware. Otherwise, I don't know what there is in a combination of ginger garlic. When you put it together, then it catches the bottom of the cookware. But when you give them their due importance in your cooking, then they don't burn and they don't catch the bottom. I guess everything wants to feel important on its own. I just turned the heat down because I'm cooking in a stainless steel pressure cooker also. So I don't want it catching. I mean, that would be a big boo-boo, isn't it? Burnt food on the show. We'll have to change to burnt chef. When the fried masala begins to look badami, Mima used to always say badami wrong. So when it starts looking badami, and by which time Mima would have already finished like a bottle of beer. So the cooking got even more avant-garde as we went along. And I'm going to do exactly that, though I'm not drinking beer because the director and the camera person has said that no alcohol till the food gets over because people are watching it. And it's a family show. so we can't have alcohol. Now we add the meat. Don't tip it all over. Spread it out nicely, gently. Massage the meat as you're putting it in. You know what I loved about Mima was that she took her time to do everything. I mean, she sort of never hurried through her cooking, and I think she was the ultimate slow cook chef, or whatever you want to call her. And that's why her food was always very, very flavorful. I mean, she really took her time to sort of even clean out the bartan like that of every ounce, every piece of masala. And yet we won't add water because that would, take away from the flavors. I'm going to wash my hands again. So my Boro PP, who's also one of my cooking tutors, used to say that how you used the khunti or the palta to stir your food also determined what kind of a cook you were. And this sort of deep turning of food is something that I learned from her. So you actually go in, dig deep and then turn it. In which case, even if you're cooking vegetables which are soft or fish, there's no chance of it breaking. So you literally go in like that and let the meat roll over by itself. So this is how I learned to cook from her, and quite honestly, I think I'm one of the few people in this family who actually stirs her fish curries without breaking the fish. Now we are going to do what we call in Bong households dheke koshti. So you cover it, you don't put the pressure on, but you turn the flame low and you let the juices of the meat come out, all of the meat saute, and when the flavors come through and permeate and blend together is when you will add the water and pressure cook it. That's another very, very important aspect of cooking non-veg, because you have to let the natural juices of the meat seal inside, as well as whatever excess comes out has to be cooked off. Now I've raised the flame and I'm actually reducing the juices till it's sort of bhaja bhaja. Not Punjabi style tel upar aana chahiye, but you can smell the frying, the fried fragrance. And see, it still hasn't got garam masala in it, but you can see there's still a nice mustardy oil fragrance to it, which is lovely. Okay, so now you can see the mutton is very, very nicely fried. The masalas are fried, and I'm now going to add the water. Now, traditionally, I would have used just a ghoti full of this water. This is a ghoti. Okay, this is what we call a ghoti. Half the Bengalis belong to this ghoti land, but we are essentially Bangals, which means we come from the eastern part of Bengal, and there everything is done by, random measures. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually measure it into this measuring cup so that people can follow the recipe. And this is about, I think, 300 mils of water, which is 3/4 of the ghoti. So my ghoti is South Indian. As you can see, it's an angry red color, and basically to take the anger out, I'm going to add the tomatoes now, so it'll sort of make the hotness of the curry a little milder, and also it'll add to the red color. And these are desi tomatoes, so I guess it'll add to the sourness factor in a good way. No, quite honestly, tomatoes are a foreign vegetable. They have no place in traditional Indian cooking. In fact, we had no tomatoes in this country till the Angrez came here. And initially they didn't bring the tomatoes because it used to rot. So somebody bought the seeds, planted it, and that's how. So I would say tomatoes came to India in the 18th or 19th century. Alright, so now all we have to do is, I won't taste for salt right now. I'll add the final salt when I add the potatoes. I'm going to shut this and pressure cook it for 20 minutes. 1 CT on high and then sim. Wait for 15 minutes, 1 more CT and it's done. I love this pressure cooker, it's so beautiful. CT किधर गया? CT? इधर है. Okay. And it's on high flame. And now we can go and have a cup of coffee.
No beer?
I thought this is a family show.
We can have the beer, outside the camera.
Offline. Okay, alright. Okay, beer. There you go. Pull it off. Can you smell it?
Yeah, oh my god, yes.
Reminding you of Memma.
Open sesame.
Okay, open sesame. One thing, a friend of mine just burnt her stomach opening a pressure cooker.
Okay.
And so I want to point this out to all your viewers. Always open a pressure cooker away and up like that. Okay, so you do this and then you go up like that.
Okay.
So that the steam goes that way.
Okay, and
She had pretty bad burns.
Oh my god, look at that mutton.
Yeah, and this is still not fini, not fully done. So you can see it's red and it's angry and the meat is done. So we are now just going to add the potatoes and garam masala and the hari mirch and be done with it. Okay, there we go. Give it a stir and add the potatoes.
So how many potatoes was this?
Well, since we are not great potato eaters, I've only put in 3 potatoes, because they were these odd size potatoes, so we sort of halved them and then the top portions we quartered. Otherwise, I would have used 6 potatoes. The beauty of potatoes is also it adds body to the gravy, So now we've added the potatoes and this is the garam masala which we pounded and that goes like that onto it. Like they say in cookery shows, give it a stir and then, I needed to taste the namak of it. Some more salt because I added the potatoes. Okay, so I think we're going to eat it with rice also, huh? And now these 2 green things, jhalnan to beshi.
ভালোই কোনো অসুবিধা নেই
অসুবিধা নেই আমার ছেলেটা খেতে পারবে না তুমি তো কবজি ডুবিয়ে খাবে ও তুমি তো খাবেই না
আমি তো খাই না তো
হ্যাঁ
আর সেই জন্য মাছ আছে তো তেলাপিয়া মাছ আছে
So Sushil doesn't eat mutton because he's got this funny story. According to him, he's allergic to mutton. He breaks out in hives if he eats mutton. I've never heard anything like this. According to him, it's Kali Thakurer curse because he did boli once and then ate the mutton from the boli. Boli is animal sacrifice, and immediately he was struck. So I think all the vegetarian watchers are going to appreciate this. He was struck in a very biblical manner with urticaria all over, and since that day he has given up eating mutton. That's the story. See, every kitchen has a story. Oh, so now 1 CT after this potatoes, 1 CT, wait for 2 minutes and switch it off, and you're ready to serve. I'll use the hara dhania as a garnish, though traditionally Ma also used to say this, Memma also used to say this, that if you put garam masala, whatever dish you put garam masala in, you don't put fresh dhania in that, because they're supposed to be contradictory flavors. Though in the north they use hara dhania on everything.
Now it's done.
Yeah, well, we have to sort of give it the final touch, which is again borrowed from Devi's, the royal part of it. So I normally add a bit of ghee when I'm done.
Oh wow. Look at that. Bubble, bubble, poison bubble.
Oh, the potatoes are done. Yes,
Baba would have said, Aloo tapaki.
no, the alus are done. They're disintegrating. So I've got the ghee, which used to be Guju's favorite. Guju's my husband.
Vijay.
And we are going to put about that much. I think there's a lot of oil in it, no? Maybe that much. And this is cow ghee, not buffalo ghee. Cow ghee. Somehow the ghee made out of cow's milk is much more flavoursome than buffalo milk ghee. So we put that and we preserve that. So I'm not going to put hara dhania in this.
Okay.
But you want me to put it? Because traditionally we don't put hara dhania in mutton curry. Okay, so just close it. He'll dish up in a bit now, and then we'll all eat lunch. The reason why I'm closing this after putting the ghee is so that the ghee sort of permeates into the curry and doesn't sort of so it'll cook in whatever residual heat that it's cooking in. The gas is off, but the residual pressure, steam, whatever you want to call it. Okay, and I'm done. And of course, sous chef will clean up the kitchen. That's the beauty of having a sous chef. All the dishes are lined up here to serve up. Let's go and finish the beer. The noli sort of disintegrated. We've cooked it so much.
Okay.
Yeah,
Let me see
one
how
more
hot
piece.
this is before Neil gets into it.
Gosh, all the meat pieces have sort of literally disintegrated.
I think Amit is going to stay on here and send me back to Bombay
Finally. Finally.
This has come out really well. Neil, if you eat it sukha, it's not that hot.
Has it come like Mimma's?
It's come like Memma's. A little milder version of Memma's. But Memma, sorry, but it's actually better than yours.
Thank you. That's the ultimate compliment.
She would have loved it. She would have been very proud. And my cousin is also arriving now after lunch.
Now she's vegetarian.
And she's vegetarian and she's not going to get to eat this.
She was so good. Guju used to love her anda curry.
Yeah.
We should do an episode on the anda curry.
curry,
You
yes.
know, and there's a lot of family stories behind that anda curry also. Yeah.
And what do you have to say to our slow fire chef audience?
Well, your fan number 1 is here. Okay, and he tracks you.
Yeah.
So the minute you guys don't upload,
Yeah.
I'm told, Nani, there is no episode of Slow Fire Chef this
Week.
week. And he's very upset by the fact that you first started uploading on Fridays, then you went to Saturdays, then it became Monday, it became erratic. And he actually said you guys didn't have a system.
Oh, sorry, we shall improve on that.
And even though the comment comes from my ID, all the comments are his. So now I've told him to identify saying that Toto Nani, this is Neil, and then write the comment. But no, I think it's a great show. It's a great show. I think you guys are not pushing it enough. So you need to push it a bit more.
So subscribe, like and comment. Push, as she says.
Yeah. Maybe if Amit decides to employ me as the digital marketing brain, I'm a bit expensive, Amit, but I think I can take you up to 3 lakh viewers.
Maybe I can pay you in kind.
For the last 40 years, I know him now. I've only been hearing this.
Adhi Garwali.
I'm only hearing these threats. You didn't even, if you had gone to the party with me that night,
Is that
it would have been a different story.
is that garlic?
She's changing her topic.